I'm going to show you how to take a company from $85,000 a month to $250,000 a month and exactly how I would do it again. So my name is Dan, and we last month we did $650,000 cash collected. And the reason why I do these videos is for documentation, reminders, helping train my team, and also if we can find any cool people to work with, that'd be amazing. Other than that, majority of the people won't work with us, and I hope to provide enough value that eventually comes back to me. So on that note, let me show you something that I just spoke with someone who's doing about $85,000 a month, which is roughly about $900,000 a year. And so I'm going to break down kind of their business schematics so we can tell you what needs to happen in what order. Now, the reason why I'm able and qualified to say that again is because we've gone through those stages of going from um, zero to $1 million the first year, 3 million the second year, on pace to do another $6 or so million this year. And we're on pace to hit that. And so what I'm going to show you is some of the things that I noticed that are kind of similar patterns. And I saw this in a company that was doing about $85,000 a month, which is about $900,000 a year. And they were trying to get to $250,000 a month. But there was a couple of things that stopped them. And one of those being inconsistent client results, which you will see at that stage. And but without further ado, let me show you my screen. And so that way you can also share in the, kind of the theory or the ideas so you can see how we look through this thing. Okay. So let's jump in here and let's go straight in. Okay. So their current business was, let me see if I can move me here. Uh, there we go. There we go. Oh, still stop video. All right. Now I don't know how to do. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, cool. So on this one here, I'm just going to walk you through what I see here. So their current business was like this. So they were doing about 85K a month, which is about equivalent to about 950K a year. Okay. Now they're excited. They want to go to 3 million a year, which is basically about 250K a month. Okay. And their team members, about 10 team members. Now, there's a stat out there, and I want you guys to, whoever's watching this, I want you to remember this number, revenue per employee. Now, this is a thing that's not spoken about in general conversations, and you'll probably never hear this outside of this conversation. But revenue per employee in a service business, what I like to look for is $200 to $250,000 per employee. Now, the reason why that is because the higher, watch this. So revenue per employee, I'm going to just tell you something why I'm looking through this per employee tells me things like this. So high revenue per employee equals high margin plus uh, right size price, good pricing. So I'll say good pricing plus efficiency. Okay. Now, if I see the opposite, which typically I see in the service businesses, I see it like less than 200K per year per employee. I see this as low margin typically, right? And low margin leads to, and I'll just leads to, so it goes bad pricing or cheap, which leads to disgruntled employees. Okay. Which also it may also means inefficiency, inefficient systems. Okay. Now, when I say $200,000 or more, typically what I'm looking for a year is I really want to be closer to that 350K. Now, the reason why I want to do that per year per client, that means that I'm running a pretty efficient, pretty profitable, pretty solid business. This is what I looked at the data from Ernst and Young, which is EY, Ernst and Young, Ernst and Young. They're a really, really big firm, and they run a pretty decent, a pretty big business that most people know about, and you should know about them. And they run a $250,000 per employee per year business. Now, that goes without saying. So immediately what I look at, and this is you helping, this is me kind of talking to myself again, if I have to look back and remember, how did we get here? Or what am I, like if I'm teaching someone else how to do this or think through this, and you guys have time to listen to this and really understand this, I'm like, okay, so the first thing I see is your team members, right? I'm already like, okay, there's a discrepancy there. There's a chink in the armor, if you will. Okay, so we do just the number of the 200,000. They should have 4 employees, but they have 10. So there's likely a lot of what we call drag, right? Payroll bloat. And what this means is there's a lot of people getting paid and not a lot of production happening. So what's probably happening is we're hiring a bunch of doers and not anyone managing the doers. So that's just from what I'm looking at here. This could be misdiagnosing too early, but I'm just looking at it for now. Now the services is they sell a high ticket product, which is $17,000 for 6 months, and then $30,000 per year, and then 26K pay in full for that same year. Okay, and so if they want to go 17K and then they go 26 pay in full, they can do that, right? And all that equates to is roughly about $90,000 a year. So if you just kind of do the math, it's probably like 3 or 4 new clients a month, somewhere in that realm, right? At 3 or 4 new clients a month at 26K PIF or in between. So it might be anywhere from 5 to maybe 2 clients a month, right? So it looks like there's inconsistency in marketing, which means there's not a lot of new business coming through, which also tells me that if there's not a lot of new business coming through, you're spending a lot of time, money, and energy on delivery. It's a freaking slippery slope right there. Here's the challenge, right? Just by seeing this, okay, you could just do simple math in your head and understand, okay, if I'm making 86K a month, okay, the max, if I'm selling the $17,000 thing for 6 months, the max amount of clients I can get for 85K a month would be 85, right? And it's a blend between these 3 numbers right here. So you do 85 divided by 17,000 or 17, right? And that will give me, let's see how much it gives me. Didn't give me anything. All right. That will give me close to, someone wants to do the math. Let me just do the math real quick. I still can't get used to this thing. 85,000 divided by 17.5. 17. Okay, so about 5 clients max. So they're getting anywhere from 2 to 5 new clients a month. Okay. All right. Now this tells me not enough marketing. Now that also tells me when they told me inconsistent ad spend, okay, that makes sense. So you spend 10K a month and you get 2 to 5 new clients. So that means on the high end, it's costing you 5K to get a customer. And on the low end, 10K divided by 5. On the low end, it would be $2,000, right? So $2,000, what they call cost per new client. Okay. All right. So far we're so good, right? It's costing us $2,000 to $5,000 to get a customer, and that customer is going to pay us $17,000 minimum. Okay. Now, the challenge is inconsistent product, which is what's happening right here. So you're bringing on too many people. You're making a promise that is So the problem here is that your product is inconsistent. Now, the inconsistency comes from this, and most people will face this at this stage, a little bit earlier on in this part of the funnel because, or this part of the stage. Now, the reason why it took them so long to face this is because they're charging high ticket. So if you're charging 5,000 to 7,000 or so a year for a client, you're going to face this a little bit earlier, probably around 600 to $800,000 a year. But you're going to face this inevitably. So what happens here is he's getting this thing where marketing can't go up. Marketing can't go up because we're marketing a bad product. Okay. Now, is his service bad? I don't think so. Because he told me, I said, well, do you not get your clients results? He said, no, we got a guy like made $600,000 with our service. And I said, okay, so then what's the issue? He said, well, some people do, some people don't. Some people do the work, some people don't do the work. And so I said, here's the strategy that we did to knock us past 250K a month. Now, I had to do this it took me about 4 to 6 months to actually make a product, like a productizer service. So at this stage, you need to, the solution is, these are three solution: productize, service. Okay, make the service the same every time. Make the service deliverable the same every time. Okay, every time. All right, so if you do that, this will help you because now it's predictable. Now, if I go to Walmart, I know where Walmart's going to look like. Every Walmart I go to, it's going to be the exact same thing. So that's why I tell them you need to productize your service here. And then what needs to happen here, but it's hard to productize your service when this is happening. So I said, okay, well, the bigger picture here is that you need to fix who you're talking to. Because what's happening, the reason why you're having inconsistent results is because you have different types of customers. And so I said, let me ask you a question. Do clients ever succeed in your program and your thing? And he said, yes. And I said, what's the common denominator of the people that are succeeding? He said, well, if they've done this thing before, like they have some experience in it. And I said, so why are you talking to newbies? Don't take someone from 0 to 1 because there's a lot of momentum that has to happen. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of teaching. There's so much effort it puts into that. You might as well go from 80 to 100 because the momentum's already in their favor and you tweak it and it blows them up. So I said, here's what you need to do. You need to do what we call a client audit. So in this order, this is how you change things. Number one, you do a client audit. Okay. Now, the client audit, what I said is think about it like you're going to Harvard or a college, right? And you want to get into this amazing, for me, I would put it like physical therapy. I wanted to do a physical therapy degree to become a physical therapist, but I couldn't get in unless I had prerequisites. Now, the reason why those prerequisites are there is so that everyone is on the same playing field. And so their likelihood of success is much higher because everyone has already gotten those prerequisites. Now, in business, it's the same thing. Yet we want to take everyone and put them in medical school. And that's not the case. They have to go through school, kind of like I have to take this test to go to the next stage. I have to take this test to get to the next stage. And the same thing has to happen in business. They have to do a prerequisite to qualify for your next service or to qualify to work with you, right? And so I said, you need to do a client audit, find out what prerequisites are there, what activities did your best people, you know, what activities and things that they come with prior to working with you. Okay. From there, then you create the roadmap based on the winners, not based on anything else besides the winners. So you base a roadmap on the winners first. Everyone follows the winner's journey, and then you can create multiple roadmaps when you got to scale. But right now they're not there, so they need one roadmap to follow, not multiple. And that's the reason why they're stuck with 10 employees and they can't scale up marketing because they don't have the capacity to take on more clients and lose more clients, right? So I told them that's what you need to do. Then to get your results faster, I said, how long does it take you to see results? Well, he said, well, it depends. And I said, but on average, when does it take? And he said, well, like 60 to 90 days. I said, 60 to 90 days, you're crazy. So if I pay you and the first time I ever win is in 2 months, you think I'm going to be that excited after all the technical setup? Here's what happened. Here's what used to happen. We had this same scenario where as soon as people signed up, we got them all the technical things. We started doing, we started doing all these things for them and all this great stuff. All these things were like, we did a lot of technical stuff to say the least. Okay. And then clients were really upset. And then when we had that, when we were like, okay, now it's time to do your first thing to get your first result. Clients were so upset because they had waited 3 weeks before they even got one thing to do. And once they started going to momentum, it was already 3 weeks in that high that they had before, it already went down. So if you think about it, they're at this peak level after the sale. And then we tell them, you know what, just hurry up and wait, 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 wait. And you know what? Now it's time for you to put some effort back in it. And we're like, come on, work. And they're like, okay, it's been too long. This program doesn't work. This thing doesn't work. I don't like you guys. I'm gonna go look for something else and see you later. And that's what would happen. And so instead we said, okay, peak sale. Now, instead of they're not gonna follow the program yet. They're gonna get their first win within 14 days. And then boom, get that momentum back up. And then we're like, hey, now you got to do work, 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 work. And then boom, there's that another win. And then boom, work, 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 work. And then boom, back up. But you see how this right here, this little messy middle changed the game for us. And I'm saying that because that little messy middle right there, that in-between zone is where most people lose it because they lose so many clients right here on this this downward spiral. And they're trying to save all these people when it's too late down the road. They want to save them over here when all they had to do was fix right here, this onboarding and activation. If they fix that within the first 2 weeks, right? The same thing. I'll give you a story. I'll give you a perfect example to articulate this. Okay. So when I first started my fitness thing, right, before I started doing this and helping our advisors, I was a personal trainer, right? And so when I was a personal trainer, I was the most certified guy. I was, honors. I was like all these great things, accolades to the gills. Like I had all the accolades. But then when I became a trainer, I had like a nice physique. I don't have the kind of physique now, but I'm trying to work on it. But I had this physique, right? And I'm like, don't you get it? Like just follow my meal plan. And so one day I got so frustrated that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this meal plan. And I made a meal plan for 3 months. I'm like, you got 6 meals a day. Here's 250 calories here. This is exactly how much you're gonna weigh. This is how much it's gonna be. The percentage of it. This is exactly boom, boom, boom. And I'm like so detailed. Took me 6 hours to create that meal plan. Okay, I was so specific. I freaking beat myself up to make that meal plan. And I give it to this client, like excited. I'm like, can't wait. Here it is. Like a little kid, right? Like about to present this thing. And then the girl goes, oh, that's too big. I'm not following that. Man, I was defeated. And so I said, okay, well, here's how I lose weight really fast. Use this meal plan. It only has 3 things you eat, and the majority of it's water. But you'll lose like 10 pounds in a week. And then I gave it to her. And then she's like, oh my gosh, like 5 days later, she's like, you know that thing you gave me, the meal plan thing with like 3 meals? It worked. I lost weight. And I told my friends about it and they want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And then their friends came and they said, how do I lose weight real fast like her? I said, well, they follow this thing. And then boom. And then they're like, they lost the weight and they're like, what's next? And then guess what? Then I told them, you know that meal thing, the meal plan thing I gave you? Well, that's how you keep the weight off. She's like, I get it now. I'm like, I get it now. I knew I was doing it right. I was just doing it outside of order. And so for you listening, myself, like talking back to this activation point is so important. This so important. Meaning, instead of spending time doing technical setup, how could I get them a win today? How could I help them lose weight fast? How could I get them make money fast? How can I get them to get their return on investment quicker? How can I get them to have a breakthrough now? Like, what can I do to get them activated now? Because I don't want them to not convince, I don't want them to convince themselves out of this, right? Then once you've done those three things, okay, then you do long-term play is change the marketing message. Meaning, if you have client testimonials in your ads, take them out. If you have anyone that's not your ideal client talking on the ads, take it out. If you're saying, like for an example, if you're um, if you are a tax advisor and you're saying, okay, if you're just starting your business, here's three things you can do to save money on taxes. No, simple yet effective. If you're already paying $100,000 a year in taxes, here's the three things you need to do to save money on taxes. Subtle difference, massive changes. Okay. So small change in the front of the messaging that's going to make a massive difference down the road because now you're only attracting people that hear the message that says, okay, 100K in savings, right? 3 strategies. Okay. Now that versus if you lead with 3 strategies if you're about to start. Now, there's so much to this that I wish it was just more I could talk about. So this right here attracts newbies. Newbies don't know what's at stake and what's required. They don't know the problems that they're going to face. These people right here know what's at stake. Required, let's put it that way. Required. Now, are they more skeptical? Are these 100%? These people are more skeptical. Why? Because they've been around the block. You want people that have been around the block, have done it all. You don't want people that just this is the first time they've ever heard about it because there's so much education that's required. Instead, you're better off going to the top of the market, which is why I do these videos because I know most of my ideal clients won't watch this because they're already educated in these things. So they're just like, take me there faster. The people I'm doing this for is me, you know, someone that's doing, 600,000 or $400,000 a month. And how do I get to 1 million? What am I doing? What am I documenting the stage to help other people get past that stage to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million? What are they doing? What are they doing that they're missing? And this is me kind of just looking back and saying, this is what we did. And I'm validating this by someone else. Someone else came to me and told me these are the things that I have. And I said, that's what we faced at that same stage. And so they do these 4 plays right here to increase from there from 85 to 250K. Now, why can I say you can go that fast? Because here's what happens. So now what's going to happen after this, you do this, which it's going to give you clarity on who to target. You do this, which is going to take you out of fulfillment, which maybe goes back over here and you say, hey, look, I have 10 team members. We need to start counting heads or you need to be productive. Okay, number three, right here, it's going to give you confidence in the sale, meaning that as soon as someone buys, they're going to get something done. And then number four means you're only marketing to the right people, which means now I can go from 10K a month to now I can spend 50 or even 100K a month, right? And now I have the confidence because those other three things are at play. And I'm not filling up a leaky bucket. They're not leaving no more because I'm gonna have everybody get more wins, and it's gonna give me more confidence. And the more confidence I have, the more money I dump back into ads, and the cycle repeats itself. So, anyways, I do these videos again to kind of help myself and help anybody else that might need the help. Um, last thing before I go, I do have some books, some free books from the Alex Ramosi launch. There are these right here. They're these. If you want a copy, you can just comment book and I will send you over a link so you can get the book for free. I think I have a couple more left. I did it the other day. I think there was like 30 or 40 people that got it. I got 200, so I have some to give away. If you want it, cool. If not, cool. Um, yeah, so hope this helps. See you in the next one.